and welcome to the Staten Island Morning Show. It's Tuesday, January 31st. I'm Nikki Stanzione.
And I'm Don Smith. We're so glad you could join us.
I'm so glad we could join
Yes,
us.
I know. It's the first show of the new year, so Happy New Year, Nick.
Yeah. Yes, because the first week I was without you, and you were without me, but now we're together
we're
again.
All back in the same location, yeah.
And I'm glad to say it. And we've got a lot to get to today, but we'll start by heading over to meteorologist Mike Favetta for a look at the weather. And Mike, it started out a little this morning.
It did. It was cold. There was that little bit of ice and sleet coming down. Wasn't the prettiest of mornings, with a little bit of a messy start to our day. But the good news is that it's moving out quickly. So any of that little bit of accumulation that was maybe on the car tops won't be around for very long. And you can kind of see that little shade of pink working there across Staten Island as it moves eastward. That changes to a shade of green. So we're just left with a little bit of that snow, I think, through the remainder of the early part of this morning, but then we clear things out very nicely going into the afternoon with some sunshine back in the forecast. So even though there's that little bit of rain and snow mix now with a few ice pellets mixed in, later today we climb to a temperature of 40 degrees with mostly sunny skies. It'll clear out nicely, still have a healthy dose of clouds around through the evening because another system and a storm offshore threatens to give us some flurries tomorrow morning, but I think it stays far enough away that we generally get through unscathed. We'll talk more about that and take a look ahead of the weekend's weather. That's coming up with another check of your forecast. Don, Nikki?
Thanks so much, Mike. You know, it's crazy because we've really had it's been such a mild winter.
It has, yeah. And I feel like anytime we get below like 33, 32, people are in a panic. You know, this is like North Carolina or something like that, you know, where they just don't know what to do when it gets that cold, right?
Wait till this weekend's weather. That's a tease coming up. It gets really cold.
Mikey, look out.
Well, listen, I came back from Texas, and it was not a big shocker because I came into 50-something, 60 degrees the other day. I was like, wait a minute, it's not so different. So I'm glad for that. We'll enjoy it while we can. Teaser ahead. Thank you for that, Mike. And of course, now as we talk about the weather, we think about, at least the roadways have been a little better without all that snow we're used to in the winter. But now Don's going to give us a look at the traffic and see what's really going on.
It's a little wet out there in certain spots, so it could be a little bit slippery. So give yourself a little bit of extra travel time until we kind of dry out. Let's get you over to the maps here this morning. And it's fairly active pattern here on the West Shore, which kind of par for the course here, is what we're usually looking at around this time of the morning. So the West Shore going north here in towards Arden Avenue is a little bit heavy there. Outer Bridge Crossing, and that is going to be moving fine. But if you are traveling onto the southbound side of 440 over to 287 in Edison out to the Raritan Center, just be careful there if you're heading to work. It's going to be a little bit slow as well, just west of the Parkway. So just kind of keep that in mind. Just a lot of volume there. We continue over towards, we'll stay on the South Shore here. Highland Boulevard looks pretty good. So does Amboy Road. Not a whole lot of action through the traffic lights. We go further north on the West Shore. We're moving well up until you get to the merge with the Staten Island Expressway. And that is going to be getting in to that long-term construction out by Richmond Avenue is going to be a little bit busy. Now, speaking of the expressway, the westbound side is just a parking lot, essentially out by Fingerboard Road, getting in towards Toad Hill Road, out through Manor Avenue. Let's go to the cameras, and we can show you that scene here at the very bottom of the screen. And you can see it there. The HOV lane is going to be shut down for that construction on the overpasses there at Manor, Bradley, and also out towards getting into the Richmond Avenue construction. Expect the eastbound side as well to shut down the HOV lane probably in another hour or so. They usually wait a little longer to get through what's left of the morning rush hour, but you can see the big delays there. Almost back to the Verrazano, so you got to be careful. Let's go to the North Shore. Richmond Terrace is fine. So is Bay Street up to St. George. Bayonne Bridge, we're moving well on over towards Bayonne, and the Verrazano awfully heavy exiting here on the eastbound side of the belt, and the inbound Gowanus is just a catastrophe here, really getting all the way up into the Brooklyn Bridge. There's a ton of volume with this weather, and it's kind of intermittent kind of spritzing out there. So it's been a really pretty tough commute. Yesterday was pretty good. I think a lot of folks maybe took some PTO because it was 56 degrees yesterday. Right. So, or they're using the work from home thing on Mondays and Fridays. But Tuesday here today was, little bit of a tough go.
It was a really nice day yesterday. I did notice a lot of people were out and about.
Yeah.
So you're probably right. A lot of people did take the day off.
Exactly.
But listen, be safe on those roads because we got a really important story to
Yes.
get to. The driver of the car that crashed on Highland Boulevard and killed a pregnant woman is now facing manslaughter charges. The victim of the crash was 23-year-old Adriana Silmatage from Great Kills, who was expecting a baby this April. 30-year-old Adem Nikki was allegedly driving under the influence when the car crashed into a utility pole near the intersection of Rose Avenue early Saturday morning. Ooh, that one gets you.
Yeah, just a terrible story. You know,
Yeah.
you always hear, unfortunately, you still hear these stories about driving drunk and under the influence or just buzzed or whatever. And yeah, how many times you get those words out to not to do it, and
then you do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
it's
terrible.
just the consequence is obviously absolutely incomprehensible. And you know, I read the whole story, and it was interesting that he was going so fast the car split in half.
Oh.
I mean, think about how fast you have to be going for an impact like that, and
Right.
then again, the consequence was just as bad as it gets.
Yeah,
So we're
just
so
tragic.
sorry, and of course we only send good prayers and blessings and condolences to the family who were affected.
Exactly. In other headlines, a Stapleton man has been arrested on assault charges after allegedly stabbing his ex-girlfriend while trying to get into her car. Police say the suspect, 51-year-old Peter Clark, reportedly left the scene on foot. The 33-year-old victim was in stable condition and treated at a nearby hospital. The incident took place near Broad and Warren Streets. Police are still looking for Clark. Anyone with information is asked to contact the NYPD immediately.
Absolutely.
And a man is now facing charges after he was caught driving a stolen car on the Staten Island Expressway. The suspect was driving a 2017 Ford Fusion that was stolen in Brooklyn last week.
The suspect was arrested by officers from the NYPD's Highway District 5. The arrest comes as officials are continuing to urge the public to take steps to prevent car theft. You know, I think about it every time I lock my car.
Yeah, right.
Now more than ever, it's just become.
You're just hearing more of the car thefts. For a while there, it was kind of, you really didn't hear about much. And I don't know if it's this digital technology that the bad actors are really beginning to get tuned into, either with the phone or trying to pick up the radio frequency from your key fob. Was, you know, because I mean, I'm sure there's got to be a way that you could just walk up to somebody, let's say at the supermarket or whatever it is, the coffee shop, that kind of thing, and literally just come near you, and the thing is still emanating a signal.
I was just talking about this yesterday because, you know, now a lot of people, and I've sold them on home shopping, a lot of people do the pieces, whether it's their bags, whatever, with RFID protection.
Yes.
And the RFID is what blocks these people from perpetrating these kind of fraudulent activities, but it can be very scary. So you have to always be aware, right? That's the key. And meantime, a new interagency task force is being set up to address the growing wave of car thefts on Staten Island. The NYPD's various agencies will be collaborating with District Attorney Michael McMahon's office to form the task force. At
a Community Board 3 meeting, McMahon said the task force hopes to help authorities tackle car theft cases, which he says are notoriously difficult to prosecute. Car thefts across Staten Island's 123rd precinct have nearly doubled from 65 to 126 over the last year. So this is definitely becoming really a major problem. Not some, you know, here in Staten Island, as well as the rest of the other 4 boroughs, and even in towards the tri-state area. You know, we have, you know, they take them to the port, that kind of thing, and then they get shipped off to other parts of the world. But I've always wondered why the car manufacturers from the factory, the key fob, that after you get a certain distance away from the vehicle, that it automatically just shuts off.
Right.
You know, goes into like a sleep mode kind of a thing where it's not radiating. And it's very possible that it does. And I just I'm not familiar with it because my car doesn't have it. I have a traditional
keyless. But I mean, it's amazing because the technology is supposed to obviously help us and make things more advanced, but it's also more frightening because it gives easier access, I think, to anybody who has any of that technological smart, you know, ability to be able to figure out in a way that, you know, we used to do the club. Remember the club?
That's true. The club. Yeah, the club. Hey, my father still has one too.
We all did the club.
Yeah.
We're not talking about like, not that club. The club, you know.
Big middle club, yeah.
We dated ourselves.
Lock it up. That's right. Yeah. But, you know, some cars are actually using fingerprint ID, which may be somewhat of a help. But if it's as bad as what I have on my phone, then you're going to sit in the parking lot for 10 minutes trying to get in the car.
Exactly. So stay safe out there and protect your cars at all costs.
That's right. All right, let's get to our first interview. The Joan and Ellen Bernekow Jewish Community Center is holding a West Meets East art exhibit to coincide with the Lunar New Year.
Joining us now to talk about the exhibit is the JCC's Musical Institute Director, Ella Seeley, and a member of their board of directors, Elaine Bloomfield. Thank you both so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
It's our pleasure.
Yes, thank you. So what gave you the idea to start this exhibit?
This particular exhibit is a combination of Calligraphy and Painting Artists Association. It was presented to us by one of their members, Jing Bao, who exhibited at the JCC with her late husband in the past.
Okay.
The exhibit allowed us to celebrate Chinese New Year's, and we had many artists presenting their calligraphy and offering giveaways to community members.
So nice. But of course, we get to see all the results of all of the work that goes into it, right? So what was the actual effort from the organization in order to put the exhibit together in the first place?
Well, we've been showing exhibits now for over 10 years, almost ever since the center was opened. We've been encouraging Staten Island artists to exhibit, but we have exhibits from all over New York City. The exhibits themselves are set in around an atrium. It's an interesting art gallery because the viewers are always close to the art, and we change about every 2 months, and we have bookings for artists for almost a year ahead.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Nice.
So what can visitors, expect from the artwork on display at the exhibit?
This particular exhibit features calligraphy artists such as Wei Zheng, Shokin Li, who is one of the leading actresses in during 1980s in China, who is also known for her calligraphy, as well as Chang Jiang Wang and Shou Wu Kong, famous calligraphers from China. You can also see caricatures by Zhou Scherer Dielo, as well as etches and sketches by several artists. Some of them are well-known Staten Island artists such as Bill Murphy, who has 2 pieces in this exhibit. One of them is titled A Tree at Snack Harbor, and the other one, Ella Mother's Day. We can also see Chris Spollen's etches, David Bamunda's, and Daniel Pelavin's. We can also see paintings of very famous Chinese artists such as Wei Xu, Bin Ying, Michael Jing Bao, Da Zhou Wang, and American artist Michael Garland.
How nice. Sounds very extensive.
Yeah, calligraphy. Yeah.
So where and when can people come to actually see the exhibit?
The exhibit is going to be open for a month and a half. It is on the 2nd floor of the JCC in the back atrium. It's 3 beautiful walls of these works by the Chinese and the American exhibitors, artists, and we're very excited about it.
That's lovely.
Wonderful. Sounds like a great event. And if people wanted to find out more information, where can they go to?
You can visit our website, sijcc.org. We are open during regular business hours. The exhibit is free and open to the public.
We like that. Free
We
is
do.
always
That's
good.
it.
Thank you so much. We appreciate both of you, all 3 of you, coming on the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. It looks like a great event. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun to see some of that great artwork.
Absolutely.
All right, when we come back, more on the ongoing work to clean up Staten Island's streets.
And plus, we'll learn how 5 families started a nonprofit that's helping people here on Staten Island.
And you can always find us on social media. Search for the Staten Island Morning Show on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and click follow.
Nothing mysterious there. These are captions. Open captions are the on-screen display of a movie's dialogue, speakers' names, and sounds. Theaters in New York City are now required to show some of their movies with open captions. To learn more, visit nyc.gov/captions.
This is the place. Hey! Yo! This is my grandson, Mike. It's his 18th birthday.
Man.
Wow! One of the best years of my life.
Well, when I was 18, the ladies used to think I was fine.
Yeah, your grandma, maybe. Oh,
Come on, man.
he's a smart guy, but I thought he could use a little advice today. Start putting away some money.
Call your mother.
And now that you're 18, you need to sign up with the Selective Service System.
Remember Jamie Thomas?
Yeah.
Heard he didn't register and was denied a job with TSA.
There you go.
That's it. Save money, call mom, and register with SSS.
Well, one other thing. Get yourself some better kicks.
Ugliest shoes I've ever seen.
Be the man. Register with the Selective Service System today at sss.gov.
And them socks, my God.
Meteorologist Mike Favetta is back with a look at the weather. He kind of teased us a little bit.
He did,
kinda
yeah.
teased us.
Now, whether
There
it's
is some cold
40
weather coming up on the next few
okay.
days, especially when we look a little further out in time to the weekend, looking ahead to a really sunny but very cold weekend with the wind. So today, enjoy the temperatures while they remain rather pleasant, especially in the 40s. That's still above average for this time of year. The sun returns later today. We'll call it partly sunny skies because the clouds stick around for most of the day. 41 degrees in Arrochar, 41 as well in Toad Hill, 40 for you in New Dorp, and 40 over in Woodrow. Through the next few days, anticipate a more active weather pattern, but a lot of these systems miss us by just a few miles. For instance, tomorrow's storm system stays offshore. Maybe we get a few flakes and flurries out of it, but predominantly we'll just see the clouds. What happens after that is brutally cold air and very gusty winds that will make it feel quite unpleasant as we head into Friday morning. Now, the Friday morning temperature will hold right around freezing, say 30 to 32 degrees. But Friday afternoon, that temperature keeps falling. We are down in the teens, and then later Friday night, single digits. That's actual air temperature, not necessarily when you factor in the wind chill. It will be cold up and down the northeast, and we're kind of on the warmer side of that here in Staten Island. So it is worse if you head places further north. We'll talk more about that with a wider view and let you know more details on the rest of the weekend's weather. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
Wow, worse than 5 degrees, Mike. Wow.
Thank you.
Oh,
I say
boy.
thank you with a question mark. Thank you.
The,
You know, that's like Minnesota cold. That's
yeah,
not like New
yeah.
Jersey cold. That's not New Jersey. That's not Staten Island. That's not New York. That is Minnesota Midwest
Yeah.
cold. But we'll take it. Listen, we got to take advantage of making use of our winter jackets at some point, right?
Of course,
So-
yeah, exactly. We're
I'll
gonna
take
break out the dust for this weekend.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike.
All right, thanks, Mike.
And Don has the update on traffic for us on this Tuesday morning.
Yeah, I do, Nick, and it's starting to get fairly busy on the Staten Island Expressway. That's because of construction. Let's get you over to the maps first. It's going to be on the westbound side as you come in towards Toad Hill Road and Richmond Road, all the way out towards just west of Manor Avenue, and that is because the HOV lane is shut yet again for the midday construction. You can see it here. I don't know if you can see the mouse on the screen. I think we can. You see the HOV lane is shut, and that's for that bridge rehabilitation that is still ongoing. So everyone is now being forced into the main lanes of the expressway. Eastbound side will more than likely have that construction as well, but not until about 10:30 or so. They usually wait a little longer to get through pretty much the majority of the heart of the morning rush hour. We continue further to the west. Once you get past here this morning, just in the area of Woolley Avenue, as you get further west of that, that's where things kind of open up. But the eastbound side into the construction as well, and that really is all because of that lane shifting that's taking place here as you get out towards Richmond Avenue And I wanted to see if I can bring that camera up, and I have a little trouble with that. Let's see if that'll do it. There we go.
There you go.
You can see the lane shifting there. And again, that's all for that long-term repair. We'll continue on now with our maps, and we'll take a kind of the broader view of things. If you're going back over towards Elizabeth and Linden at the Goethals Bridge is fine. Turnpike is looking good. Into Bayonne. Bayonne Bridge is also in great shape. Heading up to the ferry is looking good as well along Bay Street. We take it back over towards the West Shore Expressway. Still a little bit heavy here getting in towards Arden Avenue, just basically north of exit 4 of this morning. So just be mindful of that. Outer Bridge back to New Jersey is good. 440, it looks like it's slowly thinning out, but northbound 287 in Edison has some repairs as well. Highland Boulevard, Amboy Road, all looking great across the South Shore. But the Staten Island Expressway getting onto the Verrazano, that's heavy onto the eastbound belt out by Bay 8th Street. Inbound Gowanus is still just a parking lot, getting all the way on up in towards the Prospect and over towards the BQE Battery Tunnel, running about 25 minutes or so, give or take. So be mindful of that. Again, it's just a lot of volume. Roadways are still a little bit wet from the earlier showers this morning. And then the eastbound side of the belt, if you're heading out to Kennedy here, looks to be in fairly tough shape getting out through Starrett City as we make our way in towards Pennsylvania Avenue. In the next report, I'll do some more investigation and find out why that is slowing up. Could be as well some midday construction. And we'll give you the freshest idea here along the MTA. Let's just see if the Staten Island Railway, they do have boarding changes again today from Huguenot to Eltingville. They're boarding at the Tottenville bound platform. Something just to keep in mind.
Wow. Listen, give yourself enough time this morning. That's all I can
just
say.
A little bit of rain this morning kind of just messed up everything for the whole morning commute.
It's like we got so spoiled with all the sunshine that now everybody doesn't know what to do with themselves.
That's exactly what it is.
Be careful out there. Now, the Department of Education is now investigating after a Staten Island teacher has been caught on a Snapchat video using what would appear to be a racial slur. The video shows the man saying that the slur was okay to use if pronounced in a certain way. The Staten Island Advance is reporting that the teacher in the video is performing arts teacher at Tottenville High School. Interesting.
It is. Today is the last day for aspiring NYPD officers to register for the police exam. It marks the end of a 2-month registration period that began in early December. Those who pass the exam and complete the process of becoming an officer can expect a starting salary of $42,500. Applicants can get more information at nypdrecruit.com. Kind of reminds me of the very beginning, the first episode, the pilot episode of Blue Bloods, where his son graduates, at the from the academy or from the school there.
We were just talking, my family and I were just talking about Blue Bloods last night. Such a good show.
Oh, it is. Yeah. It's amazing. It's been on 13 years already. And,
listen,
Tom Selleck hanging in there.
He'll always be Magnum, but
Well, this is true. This is true. But he's like 77.
He's amazing.
Wow,
it's a good show. But yeah, I remember on one of our earlier episodes when we first announced that these applications were starting, and now here we are already at the deadline. So really make sure you get those in.
It's gone by very quickly, right?
Yeah.
It's the end of January.
Gosh, I can't believe it. We really need all of you out there so badly, and thank you for all of your service.
All right, to our second interview here this morning. The Beit ul Jamat Community House is a Staten Island nonprofit that looks to help underserved communities.
Here now to tell us more is their executive director, Jamila LaSalle. Hi there.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us.
Thanks for joining us.
More lighting here. Sorry, guys.
There you go. There you go.
She's in the dark. She's very mysterious.
So 5 families founded the community house in 2015. What was the story behind that?
Actually, the brainstorming of Beit ul Jamat House of Community was thought of none other than and stemmed from my husband, Imam Zulkarnain Abdul Shahid, who could not be here with me this morning. He could not take off. So his passion was to go out there and feed the underserved. And it just started out with just that, feeding the underserved, which now became our signature program. And so he got together with 5 other families, and together they formulated House of Community. I then later came on to assist with the administration part, as I am an associate director for another nonprofit entity, which happened to have been my 9-to-5 for over 25 years. So I knew the concept and how to get the 501c3 started. And so fast forward, it grew, and it grew significantly. What started out just doing hot meal distribution then turned into Walk Up Food Pantry, Mobile Food Pantry, and then the Mental Health Through the Arts program, which we provide Tai Chi, art therapy, and now drumming therapy to children and their families. And in addition to other projects that we have throughout the course of the year. And so since our inception, we have managed to feed over 61,000 families, and the numbers keep growing and the need is out there. So with that being said, we're quite busy now. This year, even more busy than ever, because we've managed to make ourselves more visual. We just started out as 5 families, of course, has now grew. And so with that, we're now out there. There he goes. That was at one of our fundraisers.
The mayor.
There we go again. All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Of course.
There is relief aid. We also do relief aid projects. We have also distributed to Haiti, Mozambique, Puerto Rico, and I believe that's it for now. Yeah,
that's not it. That's a lot. That's impressive. I mean, to think of where you started to where you are today, it really shows the initiative was, how motivated you were and how important this is to you and the team of people you work with. And so, did you get a big group of people together to work with you? Because it sounds like you had this idea and you just from your own experience took it to the level where you are now. So how did you, get everybody together to be where you are today?
That was our biggest challenge. Now I can't say that, but then it was just 5 families rolling up their sleeves and doing the almost impossible.
Wow.
But we did it. Now, because of the visibility, because we managed to put ourselves on the map, the volunteers now come to us. And that's a beautiful thing because, again, just 7 years ago, that wasn't the case. And that wasn't the case for the first 3 years of the organization's birth. So now, I'm ever so grateful because to have folks come to you and say, Jamila, hey, Zoo, do you guys need help? I'm here. I had this day off, and on their off day, they managed to come forward. So it's a blessing now. And there's really no exact response for that because, like I said, I want to say a blessing. It was a blessing that these volunteers started to just show up and show out. And that's just the truth of the matter.
Yeah, I think this is like a 3rd, 4th story we've done in the last couple of weeks about mobile food delivery and about people going, who are in need of food supplies, in these tough times, with inflation and eggs costing like $10, $10 a dozen. And, it's really all about the volunteers that continue to help all of these groups, including yours. They're always such a big part of it. So what can people get from your weekly mobile food pantry?
And thank you. So we get there's grains, there are eggs, there's kosher meat and halal meat, and there's fresh produce, fruits and vegetables. We are connected with the OEM program, and we receive our food from Scriber Farmhouse, which is I think located in New Jersey. So the truckloads come weekly to our destination, and we service over 200 families and 120 mobile food, 120 mobile food families that we deliver door to door to. And you have to be senior and homebound and show proof of homebound in order for us to do the door to door service.
Okay. And in addition to the food that you talked about, what else do you provide at the house?
So we also have our blessing bags distribution, which is the hygiene essential packages that we go out and provide these hygiene kits to the homeless. Other projects are the winter warm coat distributions, annual turkey giveaways. The mental health through the arts program. And a lot of our time is in the food program, which again is the hot meal distribution and the mobile food and walk-up pantry stations. In addition, we also do community pop-ups in certain townships on Staten Island. So we're busy. We stay busy.
Mm-hmm. And where can people go to find out some more information about this great organization?
Check out our website, baituljamaat.com, BAITULJAMAAT. I know that one doesn't roll up the tongue very easy. That's House of Community, because Baitul Jamaat means just that, House of Community.
House of Community.
And then the walk-up station is at 192 Corson Avenue, which is in the North Shore area, New Brighton. I'm sorry.
That's so great. That's information that I know so many people can use, and we appreciate you coming on and for all that you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a treat. It's amazing. So, it's like paying it forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
When one good blessing continues to be another for someone else, and one good deed continues to inspire more good deeds.
Yeah,
so it's
the way
really
it works.
lovely.
Yep.
And up next, what a new study says about the rise of autism in New York City.
Plus, more on the latest illegal dumping bust along Staten Island.
And you can always find us on social media. Search for the Staten Island Morning Show on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and click follow.
As an Olympic athlete, I prepare for everything. So when I became pregnant, I thought I was ready. But at 32 weeks, I was diagnosed with severe preeclampsia and had an emergency C-section. Looking back, had I known the warning signs, I would have talked to my doctor sooner. Too many women die of pregnancy-related complications, and most are preventable. If you or someone you know is pregnant or recently had a baby, learn the warning signs. It could help save her life. Hear her.
Travel is part of the American way of life.
When we're on vacation, we keep an eye out for anything that looks out of place.
Miss your bag.
When we travel from city to city, we pay attention to our surroundings.
Everyone plays a role in keeping our community safe.
Whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, be aware of your surroundings. If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Well, as we've kind of mentioned throughout the show, New York City has been notably less snowy this winter, so much so that it's showing up in the history books. The National Weather Service says the last measurable snowfall was seen 326 days ago, making the longest snow drought since 1973.
Wow, yeah, it's just unbelievable. No snow is in the immediate forecast, so the snow drought probably isn't going anywhere in the near term. So yeah, let's bring in Professor Favetta here into the conversation. Let's talk to you, Mike, about this. So 326 days and counting. I mean, is there anything in the long range models that maybe you've picked up on that would take that out? I don't know.
So every time we have a little inkling of snow, the potential for another round of accumulating snow, because that's the problem. There hasn't been measured snowfall that sticks to the ground and is able to be measured by the weather sensors. Even though snow falls from the sky, if it melts on contact, doesn't really count in the weather books. Every time we approach the impending event, it always disappears. It always goes away, or it's a little too warm. For instance, we have another system tomorrow that'll be just a little too far offshore in order for us to see, I think, much of any accumulation. So while the storm system will be out here offshore going up to the north and east, here we are in Staten Island, we might just have a little flurry or so as it works its way outward. But again, it's such a fast moving system that I really think by the time the snow gets going, it'll be a little too late. And we really don't see much of anything because you put this into motion and by this time tomorrow morning, it's already offshore. And then we're back to just a dry breeze with that colder air coming in. So we'll feel chilly going into the next few days and gets very cold, especially as we head into the afternoons. The weekend will feel downright chilly. So if you look at the weekend temperature, starting off on the left, you see the sun shines there from Stapleton and New Dorp, but also the high for the day. Yeah, the high on Saturday will be between 15 and 17 degrees. Maybe in St. George, you have a little gustier of a breeze there right by the ferry. Could feel like the single digits or below zero. I think it's a very cold start to the weekend with Friday falling off dramatically. But look how we rebound by Sunday. And here's a perfect example. The cold air doesn't align with the moisture, so it's above freezing by Sunday. And you see the rain likely returning on Sunday afternoon, with that wet weather in play and temperatures just above the freezing mark to really prevent any snow from falling. The 7-day forecast has that really chilly weather there, especially for Friday, with the temperature falling throughout the day. So we start the day at 19 degrees, get down to 5 degrees later that night, It's really chilly early in the morning on Saturday, but we eventually warm back up to 23 degrees. And then as the snow comes in for Sunday, or rather the rain comes in for Sunday, thanks to that warmer air, we're back into the upper 30s and 40s by Monday. So a big chill that's on the way that will send this, cold, frigid weather down to the Carolinas. And so here we'll be like in the core of that Arctic air. So some really cold weather, but no snow. Like you've mentioned, that drought continues. A 50-year-old record broken. Not exactly one that snow lovers want to break either.
Right. Well, the snow lovers maybe not, but the drivers probably appreciate that, I would imagine. And us commuters as well. Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
I mean, and speaking of commuting, of course, the lack of snow sometimes seems to make it a little easier, but even with a little rain this morning, it's really slowed things down. Don has another check now on the roads for us.
Yeah, that's right, Nikki. Let's get you over towards our graphics here this morning. We're actually going to take you out to show you some cameras here, courtesy of my good friends at the City DOT. Now, what you're looking live at is the Staten Island Expressway. We're in the area of Manor Road. Let me see if I can expand this even more for us, and it makes it a little bit easier to see on TV. So you see that the HOV lane is shut down. That's for the bridge repairs that are ongoing. That's going to be there till approximately 2:30 or so. They usually try to wrap it up before the beginnings of the evening rush hour. Eastbound, potentially could see the HOV lane shutting down in probably about an hour's time. So again, keep that in mind. And that is going to be through this stretch here. As you can see, the delays get all the way back through just about Clove Road. So give yourself some extra travel time. Eastbound side is awfully busy as well as you make your way through that long-term construction of Richmond Avenue. And then the approach into the Goethals Bridge for some reason seems to be awfully crowded. Let's go back to the cameras and see if we can see what's going on here this morning. And let me just bring this, make this a little smaller. There we go. And we'll bring this in at Forest Avenue. That's the reason why, because there is an accident on the Goethals Bridge taking out the two right lanes. So that is why traffic is backed up here to getting into Elizabeth and the New Jersey Turnpike. So Port Authority police are on that. So that's probably going to run you, roughly about another maybe 5 minutes or so and growing. We'll see. Keep an eye on that situation here this morning. West Shore looks pretty good just north of Arden Avenue, beginning to ease up that traffic just a bit. So that's some welcome news. 440 and the Outer Bridge crossing back over to Perth Amboy is fine, and we're looking good all the way out to the Turnpike now, so that delay has eased out. Amboy Road, Highland Boulevard along the South Shore, we are fine. North Shore, we'll head up here towards St. George through the ferry. Bay Street looking good. Same thing along Richmond Terrace, your Bayonne Bridge into Bayonne. Again, really not a whole lot of action this morning. Verrazano still very heavy, exiting off the eastbound side of the Belt Parkway. We'll show you the inbound Gowanus, still a parking lot through Industry City, into the Prospect, all the way up to the BQE and into the Brooklyn Bridge. Just this stretch alone could probably run you close to about another extra 30 minutes there. And it looks like the Battery Tunnel has an accident here on the Battery Park underpass. That's why this is as heavy as it is here this morning, getting on over towards Manhattan. Let me just quickly see if we can bring up that camera that's right in this area. We'll see if we can find it. Nothing there. All right, so we'll come off of that here this morning. The other one camera I wanted to show you, if you were with us earlier, was this eastbound side of the belt here out by Pennsylvania Avenue. See that eastbound on the left is just absolutely buried in traffic. Still trying to get a handle on what it is, because once you get to Erskine Street and the shopping center, it opens up. There really is no traffic there at that point, as you will see here in this camera this morning at Erskine. That's eastbound that heads away. So there's something going on there. There could be some construction or an accident. Still nothing reported, but give yourself travel time getting to Kennedy Airport. So very, very busy Tuesday morning across Staten Island and the 5 boroughs.
Feels like a Friday.
It does,
when you,
right?
when you talk about the kind of backups we're seeing, so just be careful out there.
Yeah,
of course.
it's like 24/7 all the time. All right, so the Department of Sanitation is continuing its crackdown on illegal dumping across the city, and they recently had another bust right here on Staten Island with a hidden camera. Take a look. This video shows the dumping, and the cameras are funded by the District Attorney's Office. The Department of Sanitation says the dumpers have been caught and fined $4,000, and the car was impounded. The department is pushing one message on Twitter: don't dump on our city.
That's
so
a good message to have.
Yes, exactly. So they're really cracking
don't.
down on this illegal dumping that seems like it's starting to get a little more widespread throughout the 5 boroughs.
As they should, right?
Mhm.
As they should. Keep it clean. The Department of Transportation recently cleared out an overgrowth of trees that encroached onto Amboy Road. The removal was made at the request of Staten Island Borough President Vito Fossella, who has recently pushed a Don't Trash on Me initiative. The goal is to encourage residents to clean up trash and report issues to Fossella's office. So there's don't trash on me, don't dump on us.
That's it, right? Trying to keep Staten Island clean, right? You know, and sometimes
Yes,
those branches that you know, if you see something that's kind of low hanging, maybe definitely report it, because that can become an issue if we get windy weather, and then those branches can certainly take out power lines and so forth, and it becomes even a whole bigger issue than having somebody come and just trim the tree, trim the branches.
True, it's like the domino effect, right?
Exactly.
One thing affects
That's
the other.
right. Okay, Nikki, La Colmena, New York City, is a nonprofit operating on Staten Island that seeks to connect the immigrant community with employment opportunities, education, and more.
Joining us now to tell us about their work is their executive director, Yesenia Mata. I hope I'm saying, is it Mata? Yesenia Mata?
Yes, you said it correctly.
Perfect. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much for joining us.
And I hope I pronounced the name of the organization correctly as well.
La Colmena. You're close.
I love it. Well, with the accent, it's so much more beautiful. No offense, of course. She says it so beautifully. Tell us, what are some of the resources that La Colmena, New York City, provides people with in the community?
Well, La Colmena is an immigrant and worker rights organization based in Staten Island. We have 2 centers, one in Stapleton and one in Port Richmond. And La Colmena's mission is to empower the immigrant worker through education, culture, and organizing. La Colmena provides direct services, ensuring that we can refer people to the right destination. We also provide legal clinics for newly arrival citizens and also legal orientations. As most recently, we did become a satellite for the city of New York to ensure that the asylum seekers are provided with clothing, with food, and again, with referrals with any destination that may provide any sort of resource to them. As well, La Colmena provides 40-hour construction classes. We also provide pre-apprenticeship programs and provide daycare and cleaning workshops to ensure that the immigrant woman or just someone that arrives to the United States is able to adapt to the rules or to learn about the rights as they arrive here in the United States, so they don't become victims of wage theft or get abused at work. And if they do become victims of wage theft, La Colmena provides attorneys for them to ensure that the worker is paid. We also provide cultural services, such as we have a young little group that does folklorico, which is kind of like ballet Mexican dancing, and the children are just so adorable. They practice every other Tuesday. And what we also have is that every September we host this year's going to be our 4th Mexican Independence Day parade. And we just hope that this incentivizes like other cultures or other backgrounds to ensure that they also bring more pride to the island and are able to host their own parade as well. And these is just like type of rarities that La Colmena provides. As I mentioned, that La Colmena's mission is to empower the immigrant worker through education, culture, and organizing to ensure that the immigrant worker holistically feels empowered to be able to advocate for their community, and just to ensure that we send that message that Staten Island is a welcoming borough to all immigrants.
Love that.
Wonderful, yeah.
I love seeing your face when you talk about the children. I think that is so sweet. I can tell how passionate you are, and you can tell how much it means to you. Isn't that so sweet?
Wonderful.
Yes, well, I love that because what the beauty of that is that while the children are practicing and learning about their culture, their mom or their father is either in our trainings, like the mom may be in the domestic worker training where she's learning about her rights and preparing for the next meeting, and the father is as well, just learning about his rights. So the children get to see like their parents organizing for their community, and it's just beautiful because when they come to the center, they say, "Oh, ya está en La Colmena, ya vamos a empezar a organizar," meaning, "Oh, I'm at La Colmena, I'm gonna start organizing." So for them, organizing is just becoming natural or part of their life. And I think ensuring that they see that they don't have to look far ahead or far apart to look for a hero. Like their parents are heroes. Their parents are the ones who are creating this change on the island, just to ensure that when the next immigrant arrives to the island, that the life of the immigrant just becomes easier. So that's why I love to see the children when they come. They just get so excited to start dancing, and also just to show that they're prideful of their culture.
Yeah, wonderful. It's about the B-roll of the children dancing. That would be, that'd be a lot of fun. So can you tell us more about the sorts of job training that you offer?
Yeah, so a huge component of La Colmena is the workforce development. And when I say the workforce development is in order for a worker to be able to get dispatched to work, meaning to be able to get connected to an employer, they must go to an extensive course, meaning they must go into the 40-hour training that usually takes about a week. After that, they must go into our pre-apprenticeship program that it's again, you cannot do this work alone. You must have partners. So we partner up with Makerspace to provide a pre-apprenticeship program when it comes to welding and carpentry. And once someone goes through that training, they then must take our English courses, which again is a partnership with College of Staten Island. And the reason we say English courses is because in order to the worker to be able to speak to the employer, to let them know, like, this is what I'm doing at work, or this is a time I may be off, or whatever, it is important for the immigrant worker to be able to communicate with the employer. So when I say that they must go through this course, the reason is because we just want to make sure that the worker has that support in all angles. And on top of that, they must also go through our training, which is like Digital Without Borders, where they learn how to do the resume, where they learn how to use like the cell phone, the cell phone or the internet, or how to create their emails. It's just a way that it just makes that they learn on how to adapt quickly into this environment, and they're just able to advocate for themselves. So when we say going back to the 40-hour training, what people don't understand is that this training is very the instructors are very strict. You must be there on time at 8 a.m. You get out at 5 p.m. There's no cell phones. It's very strict, and the reason for that is because there's many workers, construction workers in the past as well, immigrant workers that had died at the job site because no training was provided. And this advocacy of ensuring that immigrant workers were able to take the OSHA and SST classes, which is the construction classes, came because many immigrant workers were dying at the job site. And this is just a way when workers do come to the center, always letting them know that this is the reason why we're doing this. We want to make sure that as an immigrant worker, you have rights in a construction site, and take this course very seriously.
It's so nice because you really help everybody to acclimate to where they are and you support them to become successful. And that's just incredible. And all these cultural events you talk about really make such a difference. And so we're curious, how does La Colmena raise the funds to provide the resources you're talking about?
Well, La Colmena, if people see our work, La Colmena is all over the place, meaning we love to ensure that we reach the workers directly. And with that, we are able to get much support for individual donors. And we are very, very humbled to know that we have so much support from Staten Island individuals. As well, we are able to connect with many funders and with the city as well. But that has been because of the work that we do. This work is not done alone. This work is done we have amazing staff at La Colmena. They all have a different type of skills and are able to amplify the work that they do. For example, the organizing team, the day laborer team, the construction SSC and OSHA team, everybody has a uniqueness that this is the reason why La Colmena thrives so much, because each individual La Colmena has their own immigrant story. And we take this work to heart. And people are able to see that. And this is why we are able to automatically, when there's any sort of crisis, we want to say when the pandemic hit, La Colmena was in the front lines. When we are seeing many newly arrivals arrive. We were able again to be in the front lines. This work, I don't want to say comes easy to us, but we are able to adapt very quickly because this work is very important to us because of our immigrant story. And for example, for me, I care about this work so much because both of my parents were undocumented. And I wish there was something like La Colmena when my mom and dad first arrived to the United States. This would have been so helpful for my dad and wouldn't have taken so much of me to be able to work and provide for my family. So with that, the reason why we're able to get many support from individual donors, from funders, and from the city is because we care about this work very deeply. That we are very connected to this work because of our own immigrant story, but as well because we understand the importance of La Colmena being here on the island. So we always want to make sure we deliver.
Very
Wonderful.
obvious, right?
Yeah,
Very obvious
yeah.
how much you care.
So where can people find out more about La Colmena? I think
Well, we are in 2 locations. We are in Port Richmond and we are in Stapleton. People can go to our 774 Port Richmond Avenue Center, and we are also at 88 Canal Street. And you could also go to our website, lacolmenanyc.org, and also find us on Twitter. We're always on Twitter too.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Yes,
for your
thank you.
passion. Thank you for La Colmena and for all those out there who are getting your support because of it. It's just wonderful. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you so much.
What a treat. Well, it's time for one last check of the weather with Mike Favetta. Here we go. Let's see what you can tell us now.
Well, we've got plenty of chilly weather ahead for the weekend after a pretty mild start to the week. We're finishing off the month of January on a rather mild note, especially with yesterday being in the 50s. Today, a little bit of sun returns and we're in the 40s. The real cold weather gets going much later on in the week, specifically for Friday into Saturday. The temperature drops all day long on Friday. We'll be down at 5 degrees early in the morning Saturday, but that's the actual air temperature. It will feel like the single digits or even colder as we head into the weekend with the wind chill dropping another maybe 10, 15, 20 degrees with those gusts off of that number. It gets chilly as well for Saturday afternoon, but we see a warming trend that takes us back above freezing and brings rain on the way for Sunday. So even into February, we still can't seem to break our snow drought here in Staten Island. Something we've been waiting to see for quite some time, but just can't seem to squeeze out those flakes. Only rain, and that looks like that'll be the trend going into the weekend.
That's fine with me, Mike. I'm not. Maybe as they get older, I just don't like snow. Maybe you're gonna see me down in Miami with white shoes or something. But it's almost like looking at your 7-day there, getting into Tuesday, Wednesday, it's like a 30-degree warm up from what
I
we were
know,
on
it's
Saturday.
a big warm up.
Crazy.
So that's what's important to note is that while the cold will be very harsh, it'll be brief. It doesn't last very long.
We'll take it. Listen, we will take it. As long as it's dry, sunny, we'll take it. And then if we get a little rain, so be it. We can still drive in that. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike.
Listen, I think as long as you're prepared, you know how to dress for it. You know you're going to need the heat.
Yeah.
You just, make your plans accordingly. And to that point, you have to also know what's happening on the roadways. So Don has one last look at us on traffic.
Yeah, thank you, Nikki. Let's get you over to the maps situation, the cameras, I should say. They are now setting up the eastbound HOV lane, probably about 20 minutes earlier than I was expecting here. But nonetheless, this is out by Woolley Avenue, excuse me. So that's the eastbound side that's going to be moving away. So that HOV lane now is closing up until about between 2 and 2:30 or so. So give yourself some additional travel time. Let's make our way back on over towards our map, shall we? We'll just might as well stay right here because we're started off getting off the island into Brooklyn. The inbound Gowanus is probably still going to run you about 30 plus minutes getting up to the Brooklyn Bridge, Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. Looks like there's something going on in the Battery Park underpass to get onto the northbound FDR Drive. That's why this still has not essentially eased out. Again, it's a pretty heavy ride. Let me see if I can bring up the camera. This site is a little difficult to kind of navigate. It wants to take off and have a mind of its own here. Let me just see if they have this camera turned around at the battery. Look, there it is. That's the entrance to the Hugh Carey Battery Tunnel. Yeah, that's a parking lot. So probably going to run, just about a half an hour or so. Let's go back to our maps. We come back to Staten Island. We're still seeing some delays here. East on Brooklyn bound, I should say. at the Verrazano onto the eastbound belt, and the Bay 8th Street is heavy. And then watch for this delay here east on the belt. There is something going on here between Rockaway Parkway and Pennsylvania Avenue. I have a feeling it may have been an accident here, not really reported from any place, because it's starting to clear up just a little bit into Pennsylvania Avenue, but you can see the damage done through the Patergate Basin Bridge into Mill Basin, all the way through Flatbush into Plum Beach. We're almost back to Knapp Street at this point. So if you're heading out to the airport, give yourself at least another half an hour out to Kennedy. Westbound side of the expressway, still very heavy into Toad Hill Road, down through the construction with that HOV lane also shutting off now. And then the eastbound side here is heavy once again, getting into the long-term repair on Richmond Avenue. And we'll have that HOV lane shut until about 2 o'clock. Let's go back to our cameras because I want to give you the update on the Goethals Bridge back to New Jersey. We were seeing a problem there, and that still continues at this hour with the 2 right lanes shut, getting over towards Elizabeth and the New Jersey Turnpike. So give yourself there probably about another 15 minutes or so just to be on the safe side, especially if you're heading out to Newark Liberty. And we continue down to the west side here. West Shore Expressway is good. South Shore is fine here at the Outer Bridge Crossing, Korean War Veterans Parkway. Highland Boulevard, Amboy Road is moving well. And then we just have the boarding changes on the SIR from Huguenot to Eltingville. That's boarding at the Tottenville bound platform, and that's till 3 o'clock today. So very busy once again.
Busy day
Across Staten Island.
Thank you for that, Don. I hope that helps all of you on your way out this morning. Meanwhile, this is a story right up my alley. I do love this show. I can't help myself. Jersey Shore star and Staten Island native Mike Sorrentino has announced the arrival of a baby girl. On Instagram, the situation shared photos of his newborn daughter, Mia. It's the second child he's welcomed into the world, with his son Romeo being born back in 2021.
Yeah, and in one of the posts, the situation said, of all the titles I've been privileged to have, Dad has always been the best. And we wish the great couple there.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Lauren and Mike.
Congratulations there. Yeah. She
Listen,
looks fantastic,
she
right?
looks I just was looking at some videos of them last night. It's like she never had a baby. And I watched Jersey Shore Family Vacation because they've all grown up so much before our eyes. And it used to be kind of very stereotypical joke, but they've been through a lot and they shared their lives with us. And I have to tell you, I laugh audibly out loud when I watch that show. So many fun things.
So many fun things. Absolutely. All right. So we're going to pivot here, literally pivot to the hardwood here. Let's head over to Chris Sakonis is here with us live for a sports update. Good morning, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Morning, Don and Nikki. And we're going to pivot right to the hardwood. Nets with another big win. They came into this hot after beating the Knicks last weekend at the Barclays Center. They got it done again, this time against the Lakers, 121-104 at the Barclays Center last night. Nets blew open a tight game in the fourth, outscoring LA by 14 points in the last 12 minutes. Kyrie Irving continues his dominant run of form, leading the way with 26 points in the win. Cam Thomas and Patty Mills also stepped up with 21 each as the Nets got the win over the Lakers, who were without LeBron James, had some knee soreness that they're still looking at. He's questionable for the game against the Knicks tonight. And then without LeBron, they really struggled offensively. Thomas Bryant led the way for the Lakers with 18 points. No Laker topped 20 in that one. So big question mark tonight is, will LeBron play against the Knicks at the Garden? That's going to be a key thing to watch as we head for that matchup. And Knicks are trying to jump the Miami Heat for 6 in the East after they lost to the Nets last weekend. So that game will get underway at 7:30. Over to hockey now, and it is the All-Star break, so no game action to report, but a big trade for the Islanders, making a splash ahead of the trade deadline. They got star winger Bo Horvat in a trade with the Vancouver Canucks. In return for the star winger, Isles are sending Anthony Beauvillier, prospect Atu Ratti, and a conditional first-round pick. Horvat has continued to light up the lamp this season, scoring 31 goals and 54 total points in Vancouver this year. So Islanders are very much trying to make a splash, and we'll have to see how that goes for them, guys.
Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Yeah, I was watching the Knicks-Nets game on Saturday, and just Kyrie Irving was literally unconscious for the last 3 minutes of that game. He was hitting everything he was throwing in practically from the parking lot. So,
oh my gosh.
this is unbelievable.
And they need him to without Kevin Durant. He's been sidelined with that injury the last couple of weeks. So
this is true.
They need
So
him to step up, and he has.
Yeah, hopefully the Knicks can get back on the winning ways here against the Lakers. You know, years ago, that would have been a huge matchup, but the Lakers have had some tough times over the last couple of years,
right.
and depending on whether LeBron even plays tonight. So.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm always rooting for the Knicks.
Yeah.
Just gonna say it. Well, that'll do it for the Staten Island Morning Show today. I'm Nikki Stanzione.
And I'm Don Smith. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.